Hello everybody, how are you guys doing today? Good? Well, I hope so, because I am back. Yes, that is right, I am going to be making videos sporadically, well, at least whenever I can. Anyways, let's get into this video. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to be combing through my collection and basically all of the figures I can find online that Medicos has produced in the last, I don't know, over a decade that they've been making these things. Which figures are the best per part in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Starting with Phantom Blood, there are quite a bit of good figures here to choose from. The biggest complaint is with the newer ones at least, that the articulation is kind of booty cheeks. And I will second that. I thought it was pretty bad with Will Zeppeli, at least in my opinion, but the good thing is that he could get into a lot of really good poses regardless, and that the figure itself looks pretty decent too. In fact, he is one of my personal favorite figures. But with Speedwagon, again, it looks really nice, but for it to look that nice, it came with a trade-off. His articulation is not the greatest. Especially like with the shoulders. Both of them have such stiff shoulder joints. But it doesn't matter, because neither of them are going to be my pick here. My pick, of course, is a figure I seem to be glazing quite a bit. Jonathan Wonderfest. Well, both Jonathans have the same articulation. This one has probably one of my favorite alternate colorways in the entire running of JoJo. Whenever I see Jonathan with the green and the purple and all the other gold accents, I just really end up liking it. I'm not going to try going too crazy here, but his articulation, really nice. The paint job is great as well. Look at all that shading. Not trying to go into a whole review here, but you guys get the point. It's just a pretty damn solid figure, and honestly, if you have the money, this would be the one I suggest getting if you really want to get a part 1 figure. It's Jonathan Joestar, for Christ's sakes. Now, part 2 was actually pretty difficult for me. A lot of people will immediately just jump to Wonderfest Joseph. Now, they're not entirely wrong. In fact, I actually will say that Wonderfest Joseph, this is not Wonderfest Joseph, this is just a repaint, but close to it, is the best figure in the line. But, like I said, this is a repaint of a really cheap blue Joseph. Now, all I had to do to make it look kind of like that was paint the gloves. Wait, did I have to paint the boots? I don't think I had to paint the boots, but I painted the gloves and I painted the tank top and his hair. And I saved myself 400 bucks, maybe? I don't know how much the figure is going for, but I'm gonna assume it's going around 400, 300 bucks, which is insane. Am I satisfied with it? Yes, 100%. This is Joseph Joestar, and it's really posable, and he comes with a lot of really good accessories too. The paint job is great. Otherwise, I honestly just think it's worth getting the blue version, even if you don't plan on customizing it to the green version. But regardless, the green version does look better, in my opinion. Just something about the all blue kind of just takes it down a notch for me. Now, the main reason why it was difficult is because I took into account the pillar men. It's not the muscles, it's not how exposed they are, it's just, oh man, it's just, the sculpts are incredible. They're very posable, and especially Car. I already know I'm gonna get hate for this one. Whole Horse. Yes, Whole Horse is my pick for part 3. Why? Because he is a newer figure. Also because, from what I can tell, the quality of the figure is pretty good. The only issue is that these two joints, the waist and the waist, ends up snapping in half. Now, I did make a video on this a little while ago addressing this issue, and I will put that right here. So you can see it's not really that much of an issue, but just kind of more of a, half horse. Anyways, for the accessories, I really like what they did, especially with the pew in his hand. Let's take a look here. I don't think Whole Horse's figure gets enough credit for this sculpt in general. With his head sculpt too, I really like that the cigarette plugs out. I feel like the cigarette would have broke it off for a lot of people. and I just kind of prefer it that way. I feel like it's easier to keep track of, and it is really small, so remember to be careful whenever doing that with your whole horse. I just think as somebody who is actually a fan of whole horse, that this figure did do him justice, and I am really glad I picked this one up. Now we need Vanilla Ice. Now part 4 does have quite a bit more figures than the previous 3 parts, but I feel like I was able to narrow this down to at least 3 sculpts. My first decision was going to be Jotaro part 4, but then I started to take some things into account, including posability, honestly how it looked and how it limited. I mean, personally, I felt like the figure was great. Part 4 Jotaro is an amazing figure, in my opinion. But then I started to look at some of the other figures in the lineup, and I noticed the 2 Rohan figures. No, not this one. These 2. I really like version 2 and 3. And honestly, at this point, it's been quite a while, so I do not remember which one this is. And honestly, this came to a pretty close decision, so I'm going with this one. Now, I believe this is version 2. Now, this one comes with really nice accessories, and the paint job on this one I liked quite a bit more because it was simple, and I do have the white version here, but the other colorway, man, just look at that one. I do prefer the other colorway, but I have warmed up to this one quite a bit. The 2 whites are different shades. This outfit is also incredible, honestly. I feel like this is probably one of my favorite Rohan outfits, if not my favorite Rohan outfit. So it's kind of biased, but I really like the accessories you get here, the ink pen, the sketchbook. The one thing that this does not give you is Heaven's Door. But instead of that, you do get this perfect... So, I'm pretty satisfied with that. I do believe you also get Highway Star to go on his back, so that's just a nice little nod to a fight within the story. Now maybe we might get a Yuya figure. I would hope. Because we already got Okuyasu's brother, Keicho, so honestly, when that guy comes out, I'm just hoping that their next one is Yuya, because I am a fan of him too. Now, part 5 has the most figures out of any part in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So narrowing this list down is really difficult. I have just about every sculpt for part 5. I'm trying to think at the top of my head. I do not have Purple Haze, but I have had a Fugo. Now notice here I have an empty space. Trust me, I am getting a Fugo. I am getting a Purple Haze at some point. Just give me some time. But honestly, for me, it's nobody in Bruno's group. Of course, they are all stunning in their own way, but I have to pick favorites here at some point, and that favorite is Risotto. No, I'm kidding. It's Risotto Nero. Yes, this guy. Honestly, one of the most posable figures in the entire group. I know he is a minor villain, but he is just such an amazing figure, man. I don't think there are many things they could have done to make him better. The one issue I did have, this is the Wonderfest, is that the head doesn't really go on the peg as well, but just trim it a little bit and we should be fine. For me at least, that's how it worked. But I feel like the accessories are perfect. The playability and the posability of the figure, the paint job, honestly, I cannot recommend this figure enough. True story, this is one of the 2 figures I brought to college with me, so it has a special place in my heart. Now, if you aren't new to the channel, you would probably know just how much I glazed this specific Part 6 figure. I'm not going to hide it from you guys, you probably already know. This is the White Snake. Oop. This, of course, is the White Snake figure. I feel like I am repeating myself so many times now. I think it's been, what, 4 videos mentioning this guy as being one of my favorites. But the point still stands. It is still the best figure in Part 6. I know I do not have Foo Fighters and Jotaro Part 6 in my hands at the moment, but I have seen them, I have seen reviews, and I've been really trying to decide here. But based off of quality, the original release of White Snake is still, I feel like, supreme. Now we're coming up to just about the end here. We are at parts 7 and 8. My choice for part 7 is kind of... I don't know, at this point, I feel like the point still stands that it is Diego second. This guy. First of all, he doesn't need a stand to stand up, unlike Johnny. I don't know what it is, but the cracked head, I feel like this is the best figure Medicos has sent out. Like, I don't even mind him being all blue. If they released this same exact version, but maybe manga accurate colors, because that is my preferred colorway. But still, I don't mind the blue at all. I just feel like there's an excess of blue figures from Medicos. So I still think that this one is a bit better than Hot Pants. Do not know Ringo yet. Ringo, I am going to be getting that one. I feel like I'm gonna have to keep changing my pants the second I touch the figure. Anyways, I still feel like this is the best figure in terms of articulation, paint, and quality. Even without the head, I think it's better than the original green one. But I don't really see too much of a difference. Man, with all the figures that Medicos has released for JoJolion, I don't think I can make a decision here. But it has to be between Gappy and Soft and Wet. And honestly, if if they finally release Toru in Wonder of Hue, then maybe we'll have an actual discussion. But I think that the Gappy figure has a leg up over Soft and Wet, mainly considering that it poses a lot better. Listen, Soft and Wet is an amazing looking figure. He is in my most underrated and my favorites video, I believe. So you do know I love that figure with all my heart. But it's just Gappy, man. Gappy's also been one of my favorites, and I never really found the reason why many people don't like his face print. Maybe it's the new ones. This is the OG Gappy release. I only have original Gappys. Josuke from JoJolion is a really, really solid figure. Of course, people are upset that it was released very early in terms of JoJolion's running. It just kind of really blows that he only has accessories in terms of things that happened to him earlier in the part. But I'm a big fan of JoJolion. I still can't decide between this one and SBR, which one is my favorite part. So please take it with a grain of salt. Well, that is just about the end of my spiel here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you guys again for sticking around. So please, have yourselves a happy holiday season, and comment down below. Would you change anything about this list? Goodbye.